Charley May. And she looked just like her dad. That was my favorite thing about her.
Welcome to Still a Part of Us, a podcast where moms and dads share the story of their child who was stillborn or who died in infancy. I'm Winter Red, and on this episode, Sydney is telling the story of her daughter, Charley, who was stillborn at 37 weeks. As a word of caution to our listeners, the story contains emotional triggers of stillbirth and infant loss. Please keep yourself emotionally and mentally healthy and seek help if needed. Also, be aware that these birth stories may differ from his or her partner's, as these accounts are told from their own perspective through the lens of trauma, heartache, and the passage of time. Please respect our moms and dads who are brave and gracious to share their children with us. Sydney, thank you so much for coming here today and telling us a little bit about Charley. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so currently I work as a nurse. I just graduated in April, so
that's great.
I'm fairly new at it.
Awesome.
And I'm getting my bachelor's degree right now, so I'm still in school, which is a bummer.
It's necessary,
that's
right?
Life. Yeah.
That's great. And what does your family consist of right now?
So currently it's me and my husband, Jackson.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And kind of what are your hobbies and what do you like to do?
I like to be outside. I like camping, hiking, pretty much anything if it's outside.
You are outdoorsy. Well, it sounds outdoorsy to me. That's great. And just give us a little bit of context. Where were you living at the time of Charley's birth? And you can just state the state if that works best for you.
We were living in Logan, Utah. That's where we're still living.
Okay. And also for some context, how long ago when was Charley born?
She was born May 19th, 2019.
So very recently, really.
Yeah. Oh, just almost 8.5 months.
8.5 months at the time of this recording.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well then, tell me a little bit about your pregnancy. Were you guys planning on it?
Mm-hmm.
Had difficulty getting pregnant or anything like that?
So we had been planning it for a while, but I didn't have any difficulties getting pregnant or anything. I actually got pregnant the first month that we were trying.
Oh.
And this was actually my second pregnancy. I had a baby when I was 18 and I placed her for adoption. So Charley was my first baby that I was going to get to bring home.
Oh, I did not know that.
So, yeah, but she's part of our family too.
Yes.
But
yeah, for sure. And your pregnancy, how did that go?
It was really pretty smooth. We didn't have any complications. I really wasn't that sick. Just nauseous for the most part. We were just really, really excited. It went really slow.
Did it?
Yeah.
Well, you were going to school too at the time, right?
Yeah. I was in school. I was in my last year of nursing school. So that time goes really slowly as well.
It totally does. It totally does. So obviously you guys are really excited, super happy. You were planning on it. Mm-hmm. No issues getting pregnant. So tell us, so May comes around. What happens then? When do you find out?
So, I was 37 weeks pregnant, at the time we found out. I had been to the doctor on Friday, May 18th, or no, the 17th. That was the 17th. And everything was fine. And we were thinking about going to my cousin's wedding down in Manti, which is a few hours away, and we weren't sure if we could do it. So we decided if there were no signs of impending labor, then we would go down. And my doctor cleared me to go, and he said everything should be fine. I was measuring good, Charley's heart rate was good. So we went down to Manti for the wedding, and that was Saturday. But then Friday evening, my sister-in-law had just had her baby, and so we went down to Provo to meet her, our little niece.
Yeah.
So that was fun, and just like seeing her and holding her made us like so much more excited.
Of course. Yeah.
Then like this is gonna be us in just like a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And Jackson even joked and said, "Hey, we should go down to labor and delivery and see if they'll just induce you." And I was like, okay, but obviously we didn't do that. We were just super, super excited. And then he told me later that he felt like she was going to be born at that hospital.
Oh.
And she was.
Oh.
2 days later. So we went back home. We went to my parents' house. I'm from Springville, so we stayed with them before we went down for my cousin's wedding. And on Saturday morning, I woke up I was laying on my right side, and I panicked for a second because I was laying on my right side, which I was never really concerned about before, because it's fine. Obviously, like laying on your right side doesn't cause your baby to die, right? So I came to kind of and stopped worrying about anything, and we just kind of rushed, got ready, and went out the door. And it wasn't until the luncheon that day around 2:00, Jackson asked me, he said, "Has Charley been moving today?" And I was like, she's been kind of sleepy today, but she'd always have days like that where she wouldn't move as much. But before that, I hadn't really been paying attention to it. And it's also kind of weird because Jackson would always ask me, like, throughout the pregnancy, like, "Are you feeling her move? Like, is she moving?" And we were always, like, worried about the cord for some reason. Yeah, and not because we'd had any experience with it, obviously, but, like, it happened to our friends, and, I guess we just knew it was a possibility. So after he'd asked me that at the luncheon, I started paying more attention, and as, like, we ate, I kept trying to feel for her to move, and I wasn't feeling her move. And finally, like, we were on our way home, and I was just, like, silently praying, like, for comfort to know if she was okay. And I didn't ever feel the peace. So I kind of knew that something was wrong at that point, but I was kind of just pushing the thought away. Because, like, that can't, like, you don't think that's gonna happen to you.
Yeah.
Like, it's the last thing that you expect. So, as soon as we got back to my parents' house, it was before the reception. Everyone else was getting ready for the reception, like, to go over to the wedding reception. And I went and I grabbed my mom's stethoscope and I went downstairs and tried to find her heartbeat, because that's something that I had done a lot, was just go and listen to her heartbeat. And I normally, even if I had a hard time finding her heartbeat, I could hear, like, the movement of fluid.
Okay.
But I couldn't hear anything. It was just silent, and I kept, like, repositioning and trying other positions, trying to find her heartbeat, and I couldn't find it. And that's when Jackson walked in the bedroom where I was, and he saw me crying, and he instantly knew something was wrong. And I just said, "I can't find her heartbeat." And so Jackson, he was like, "Do we need to go to the hospital?" And I was like, "I don't think, like, this is actually happening. Like, do we need to go to the hospital?" And he just said, "Yeah, let's go to the hospital." So somehow we, like, packed everything that we had there at my parents' house, and we went to Utah Valley Hospital, which was the closest hospital from where we were at. So when we got to the hospital, we checked in, and we were both bawling. And
because by now did you feel like that she was gone?
Yeah. Well, I hadn't felt her move it had been a few hours. Like, I don't even, still looking back, I don't remember feeling her move at all that day. I know she was alive the night before because we felt her move.
Yeah.
She was kicking us both in bed.
Was it her regular movements?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't notice anything.
Nothing crazy or erratic or anything?
Yeah, we didn't notice anything out of the norm for her. So after they checked us in, they had me change into a hospital gown, and we waited and waited and waited, and nobody came in. And so I pushed my call light button, my nurse call light, and she finally came in and had to leave again to go find like the fetal heart rate monitor and the contraction monitor because they weren't in the room for some reason. And so it was like the worst 10 or 20 minutes because we were just, all we wanted was to
know,
hear her heartbeat, you know? So she finally came back with the fetal heart rate monitor and started looking around, and she wasn't finding anything. And she said at one point, she was like, I keep getting flickers of heartbeat, but I didn't believe it because I did my nursing capstone in a labor and delivery unit.
Mm-hmm.
And the monitor just tries to pick up any movement as heartbeat.
Yeah.
So I didn't think that she was actually hearing anything. So she tried for like 10 minutes, got another nurse who tried. Eventually they brought the ultrasound machine in, and then they told us that there were, she couldn't see any cardiac movements. So then the doctor came in and confirmed. And
obviously you were just with family, and just not too long ago, did you say anything to your family as you left your parents that you were concerned about this?
Yeah, I told my mom I couldn't find her heartbeat, and she just tried. She was like, well, but that's okay because that's hard to do with a stethoscope, right? And I was like, I haven't felt her move. So we went to the hospital, and they just waited to hear from us.
Oh. So what did you guys decide to do? What did the doctor say to you guys after that?
Well, he gave us some options. First, he told us, sometimes this just happens and there's nothing that you can really do. It's just something that happens sometimes. And he said we could I could be induced that night, or we could leave and go home and then be induced, or just go and process it and then come back when I was ready. And we decided to stay in the hospital and just to have her that night because we were still both excited to see her and meet her, you know? So we just decided to do it.
Yes, you.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling when you finally got that diagnosis? I mean, what, the final, we don't see any heartbeat?
I couldn't really believe it.
I know. I was up until then.
Yeah, it's seriously?
Yeah.
This is happening to us? And I kept saying, this can't be happening. How could this happen? It was really, those were some dark moments.
Yeah.
For us. I just kept thinking about everything, all of her clothes at home and her nursery. And I had just quit my job so I could stay home with her, and I was thinking about that. And I just kept thinking that I was going to wake up. But I didn't. And we're still missing her.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. When you decided to stay and deliver at this hospital in Provo, and just for those who are unfamiliar with Utah geography, Logan is I would say 2.5 hours away from Provo?
Yeah,
you say?
About.
So that was not even your hospital that you were probably planning to deliver at. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. With not a doctor that you are familiar with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also is that was a big decision, I think, to just go ahead and deliver her there, but you were excited to see her.
Yeah. Well, and we thought it would be good because our families were closer. I mean, my family was, Jackson's was the same distance, but it made it a lot easier for people to come and see us and meet Charley.
Good.
So.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the delivery then. What you guys stayed in. You got admitted, and Did they just induce you right away or?
Yeah, they moved me to a room far away from the nurse's station, and they induced me with a balloon catheter. And then after I was like dilated to a 3, they started me on Pitocin. And
what time was that?
it was around 9 p.m.
Okay, so late start.
Yeah. So 8 or 9, I don't remember for sure. And then, what was the question?
Just tell us about the delivery. So you got started on Pitocin, and how did it progress quickly or?
I progressed, I guess, quickly enough. Charley was born at 4:00.
Okay.
So like during the while I was in labor, my family, they came and saw us, and Jackson's parents came.
Oh, good.
And it was really, really sad. Like everyone they were there, but everyone just didn't say anything. Like, what do you say?
What do you say?
There's a lot of silence, but we were glad that they were there. And my brother was still in the hospital with his baby, so he got to come down and see us. I started feeling my epidural didn't work very well. It was...
Of course it didn't.
Yeah, of course. So I was starting to feel like quite a bit of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And the anesthesiologist came and gave me another dose of the epidural medication, and he also gave me some other pain medication, which I was a little upset about because I said I didn't want it.
Oh.
But oh well, it did help. So,
okay.
And then right after he dosed me, I felt that I needed to push. So I told my nurse, and she checked me, and she said I was complete. So the doctor came in, and he was starting to like gown up, and he told me to do like a trial push, and I started pushing, and he said, okay, stop pushing.
Oh.
Because she was like almost out.
Oh.
And so after he like got his gown on and his sterile gloves and everything, I started pushing through a contraction, and she came out.
First push, basically.
Push, yeah. It's not like a normal birth, obviously, because she wasn't crying. But we were still like just as in love with her as if she would have been crying, and they put her on my chest, and we just held her and admired her, and we have a lot of pictures because my mom and his mom were taking pictures.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
So they were both there then? Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody else with you guys?
At the time of delivery?
Yeah.
My good friend was there. She's actually my little girl's adoptive mom.
Oh.
So, and we're really close, and so she was there as well.
That is wonderful.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, we held her, and she had her little pinky toe on her right foot stuck straight out. And Jackson like tried to put it down, and it just would like go right back in the air. It was really funny. The first thing that I noticed about her was that she had Jackson's nose.
Really?
Yeah. And then I was like, she has his eyes too, and his mouth.
It's basically Jackson, huh?
It's basically Jackson. Like if you didn't see her come out of me, you would have thought I wasn't involved. But she was beautiful. And I'd always said, I hope that she looks like Jackson, because I think Jackson's cute.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And tell me about her name. Where did you guys come up with her name?
Well, Charley was a name that we liked before I was even pregnant, like probably a year or two. We both, I don't even know how it came about, but one day Jackson was just like, I kind of like the name Charley. And I was like, yeah, me too.
Oh, and you both just loved it.
Yeah. And so when we found out Charley was a girl, I was like, I guess her name's Charley. We just started calling her Charley, and her middle name is May, and that's from Jackson's grandma.
Oh, really?
Yeah, who's passed away. But
that's such a cute name, Charley May. It's just really, really cute.
Yeah.
So you had her at 4 in the morning.
Yeah, it was 4:30.
4:30 in the morning on the 18th.
The 19th.
The 19th. Oh yeah, because you checked in now. Okay, that's right.
We found out she had died on the 18th.
On the 18th.
Yeah, and then she was born the next morning.
Yeah. And your moms were there and your friend was there. And then did you invite others to come during the day, like when morning came around?
Yeah, we did. I had some aunts and uncles come, and my grandparents came, and a couple of my cousins came. We just kind of opened it up, like if anybody wants to come and meet her, like they're not really going to have another opportunity. So
yeah,
we were welcome of that, and we didn't really want to be alone either.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny though, because when we actually were alone, like our parents had been up all night, and so they went home to sleep for a couple of hours, and those couple hours were really special, just me and Jackson and Charley, and
that's good.
Yeah, it's a lot better than we thought.
Yeah,
I think she was definitely there. Looking back, just because we were just so happy to be a family.
That's so sweet. And you guys held her. Did you do anything with her to like make any memories? Like, did you bathe her? Did you dress her and everything like that?
Yeah, we did. We gave her a bath, and my brother and sister-in-law, they actually, we didn't bring any clothes for Charley. We didn't bring any of her clothes.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, because we weren't expecting her to be born.
Yeah.
So my brother brought us a dress that was given to them for their newborn baby girl.
Uh-huh.
It was this beautiful white, like handmade gown.
Yeah.
And a headband with a flower on it, and it was all white.
Oh.
And it was perfect for her.
Oh.
So we got to put her in that, and we kept that dress. So, and it still smells like her.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was really special. We took tons and tons of pictures. My parents did. We had, like, the hospital had a photographer.
Good.
We had Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep come, and we didn't have to arrange any of that. Our families all took care of it.
Oh,
so.
Man, that is wonderful, because it's just one of those things where you're like, I just don't want to deal with this.
Yeah, there's too much going on.
There's too much.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Were you holding her a lot? Were you letting others hold her? And
yeah.
just some people are like, nope, I'm going to hold her. I'm going to hold them the entire time.
Yeah. Me and Jackson would take turns.
Yeah.
And then we would let other people hold her. And then sometimes I felt like I needed her back.
Yeah.
So people wouldn't usually hold her for very long,
Yeah.
but sometimes I was like, okay, I want her back now.
Yeah. Get her back. I want her.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
It was special, though, having everybody come and see her and just talk about how pretty she was, and just see the love that everybody else had for her.
Yeah. And for you guys, too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, you guys had delivered at 4. Did they have any, did they talk to you about maybe what had happened? Did they have any conclusions, or the doctor came in and chatted with you guys at any point in time in the day?
So she was born with a cord around her neck.
Oh.
It was twice around, and it was pretty tight.
Are you really?
Mm-hmm. So she had like marks on her neck from the cord. So we're pretty sure that's what it is. We didn't have an autopsy done or anything.
Yeah.
We just...
Because it seemed that was probably pretty obvious.
Yeah. We just kind of took that as our explanation for what happened.
That's interesting that your friends, right? You said your friends had lost a baby as well, was stillborn as well, and because of a cord accident, 6 months before?
Yeah.
So it was, oh man, I hate that.
Oh, it sucks.
It really does. It really does. And how long did you guys end up holding on to her?
So we were given the option to go home, like leave the hospital that night.
Okay.
So we had her for 15 hours, and then we had the funeral home director come, and it was somebody that my mom knew.
Oh, okay.
She's in their church group.
Yeah.
And so we had them come, and we walked Charley out to the car, and they drove off with Charley. And then we went home back to my parents' house. That was we were finally leaving the hospital by like 7:30.
Oh, that's probably one of the hardest things that I've done is, when you give them to the mortuary, the nurse to take them away. So I don't like that. And then what happened? Did you guys plan a service for her? Tell me what you guys ended up doing and when that was.
So, we decided to have her. We did a graveside service, and we had it on the following Friday, May 24th. So we just spent the week planning with that. We went to the funeral home every day, and the funeral home, I don't know if she's the director or she's just the one that we worked with because we know her, but she let us hold Charley every time we went. So we went every day.
Good. That's great.
And she had told us at the hospital before they took her, I guess the embalming process with babies is more difficult. And she said that they were only going to do the external embalming with just like the formaldehyde. And she said she definitely won't look worse than she is, her coloring, but she probably won't look better than she was. And when we went on Monday to see her, they brought her out and her skin was pink. Yeah. It was pretty cool because she didn't have any explanation for why it was so pink. But it was kind of cool because we got to see what she would look like,
Yeah.
If her heart was still beating.
Yeah.
So that was really special. So we spent a couple hours with Charley every day up until Friday, when we had the graveside service. We also had a viewing just for our immediate family and grandparents, and this was probably one of the most difficult parts for me, just because I knew it was the last time to hold her, and putting her in the casket and watching it close was the hardest thing that I've ever done. But it's a step you have to take.
Yeah.
So that day really sucked because we had so many family members. We only had family come to the graveside service, but there were so many people there, and everyone just wants to talk to you, and they're saying I'm sorry, and it's yeah, me too. Yeah. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was just so angry and bitter, and I was not in a good place at all that day. So and another thing, I don't know, at least in Utah, May was one of the rainiest months in Utah history or something.
Yeah.
And so it was pouring rain all week long, and it was forecasted to rain on Friday too.
Yeah.
And it rained in the morning, but as soon as Charley's service started, the sun came out. Yeah, and it was warm, and that was another little miracle that we had. So after the graveside service, there was a luncheon, and me and Jackson just left early because we were just sick of trying to talk to people, and we just needed to sleep. So we went home and slept, and then we woke up and went to the cemetery again, and we felt Charley pretty strong while we were there, and so that helped us feel a little better.
Yeah.
But so many ups and downs.
Yeah. So many ups and downs. Thank you so much for sharing that. Is there anything else you want to talk about the birth or the funeral or anything that you want to remember?
I don't know. I guess one of the things that has meant a lot to me that I've realized is how closely our family members who have passed on are to us, and how literally they are able to be with us still, even though they're not here. We've had some really tender experiences where we can feel Charley and we know that she's there, and other family members too, like throughout the process. But
thank you, Sydney, for sharing Charley's birth story. That was beautiful. Many thanks to Sydney for sharing your story of Charley with us today. Head over to our website, stillapartofus.com, where you can find the show notes, including a full transcript of this interview and any resources that were mentioned, where you can sign up for our short and helpful email newsletter, where you can learn how you can become a patron and support the work it takes to produce the show for just a few dollars a month, and lastly, where you can find out how to get in touch with us if you want to share your child's story on the show. The show was produced and edited by Winter and Lee Red. Thanks to Josh Woodward for letting us use his song, Flickering Flame. You can find him at joshwoodward.com. Lastly, subscribe to this podcast and share it with a friend that might need it. And tell them to subscribe. Why? Because people need to know that even though our babies are no longer with us, they're still a part of us.
My grandfather told me that there are two types of people, those who do the work and those who take the credit. He told me to try to be in the first group. There is much less competition. Indira Gandhi.